Welcome to the Football Show on PLZ Soccer's YouTube channel. I'm Peter Martin, Alan Ruff, Alison McConnell and Tam McManus here with me in the studio. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button on PLZ Soccer's YouTube channel. We really value your support over last season and going into this new season where there's lots of content. We'll look back over the Premier Sports Cup and the results that take 8 teams into the quarter-final stage of the tournament. We'll discuss those results and, of course, all the major talking points as well. Some cup shocks that we predicted on Friday. You can give us your thoughts as well. And if you download the PLZ Soccer app, you'll get all the breaking news at your fingertips. And that news includes, of course, the referee, Matthew McDermott, in the firing line for his performance at Hampden. Certainly caused a fair bit of consternation. We'll hear from Craig Levein and Philippe Clement after Rangers knocked St Johnstone out of the cup. Brighton have made an official approach for Matt O'Reilly of Celtic. Talks ongoing at the moment, and we'll also be discussing what happened in the English Premier League. So lots to get our teeth into. I think when you look at all the ties that we were predicting, there was a few shocks in there, and let's be honest about it. I think it's fair to say Spartans definitely a shock. Falkirk maybe not as much, but still we called it.
Yeah, we did. Fair play to you. You did say Spartans to beat Ross County, and I looked at you, as if you had 3 heads, but you got it right. And I fancy Falkirk to beat Hearts. I think Falkirk, 42 games, I think, unbeaten league games. Won the first 2 championship games. I think they've got a really talented squad of players. Hearts started the season really poorly. Stephen Naismith's getting in the neck already from the Hearts supporters. It just shows you how short the grace period was. He was running for Player of the Year, and now you get people on social media thinking he's not the person to take Hearts forwards. It's mental. So, yeah, I think that the Ross County one is a huge shock. I think fair play to Spartans. You've had a great start to the season as well. Dougie Samuel's done a fantastic job there. And Falkirk and the Hatton got a great tie at Parkhead.
Yeah, absolutely. Here's the results from the weekend. Did you predict any of them correctly? Spartans 1, Ross County 0. Dundee thumped Airdrie 6-1. Falkirk 2, Hearts 0. Aberdeen 1, Queen's Park 0. They left it late, the Dons. Rangers 2, St Johnstone 0. Motherwell 1, Kilmarnock 0. And Dundee United 1, St Mirren 0. And there Celtic comfortably again defeating Hibernian by 3-1. So lots to get our teeth into. I mentioned that Alison and Ruffy are here with me. Tam obviously wants to be known as Elsie during the programme because he's just come out of the witness protection scheme. Yet again, puts a post out on Twitter and then runs away because he's scared of the implications after it, Ruffy.
Yes, he's up there, he's thrown it out there, for a bit of response. Yeah. Not the response he probably wants. Absolutely
fantastic. That's what you got to do if you want to go on that platform and start putting your head above the parapet, Alison.
We've all been there.
Yeah, absolutely.
Aaron Ramsey, yeah. We'll remember that.
Although to be fair, I mean, the strongest you got. What was the strongest one you got?
They were fairly strong.
There was a few.
Something about questioning my very existence.
Yes, there was a few belters in there, but not as bad as the madman here. But nevertheless, lots to talk about. And I think, the one that certainly caused a fair bit of consternation, because quite simply, Rangers 2, St Johnstone 0. What did you make of it? What did you make of the performance of Matthew McDermott, the match official on this one? Because quite simply, Ruffy, there is a debate going on. St Johnstone have asked the SFA if they can hear the audio from the referees recording because they want to know if the whistle, as their players have claimed, was blown that stopped their players playing on for a foul that Dessers, they believe, committed, but Dessers continued, put the ball in the back of the net. Greg Aitken says you'll need to go to review it with VAR because we think eventually when you've hauled it back and you've called it a no goal, we think you've made a mistake. And he goes to the VAR, changes his mind, gives the goal, and all hell lets loose.
Yeah, I can see where all hell would break loose with St Johnstone. I've watched it 3 or 4 times. Whether he's blown the whistle, he's not blown the whistle, VAR have overruled whatever decision it was.
No, the referee has overruled on the basis that he's got...
I don't think the St Johnstone players stopped.
I think they did.
Did you?
I disagree.
They might have threw up their hands, but they didn't stop him for getting a tackle in and shoot into the goal.
Yeah.
I think he was through. It wasn't a foul, correct?
I don't think it was a foul.
Did you think it was a foul?
No, I don't think it was a foul. No, I thought the boy slid in and probably stood in his foot. So... if the referee blows a whistle for a foul, it's going to get overruled by VAR anyway once they have a look at it. It's a goal.
I don't think there was any question about whether or not there was a foul. I think people were fairly unanimous that there hadn't been a foul. The issue comes with the fact that he appears to gesticulate to award a foul. Whether or not he's blown, you're not going to know, because even if he's got the whistle in his mouth, he might not have blown. I'm not too sure,
Ali, that everybody agrees with you on that. I think there's some people think it was a foul.
I thought there was a general consensus that there wasn't a foul. I think the question is, well, did the referee go to stop the game?
Sam?
I'm not sure, Peter. I think that it wasn't a foul. I'm not so sure. I need to see it again. I don't think they stopped. I don't think they stopped either.
The boy on the left-hand side was nowhere near Dessers.
And if
so even he thought he'd stop, he wasn't getting him anyway.
I think even if you just play, even if maybe heard, I don't know what they heard, Peter, but you just keep playing. You play out. But for me, I'm not so sure. I thought it was a goal, to be honest. I don't see anything wrong with it. And obviously St Johnstone will be disappointed if some of their players are saying they had a whistle. Then they're right to ask for the audio.
Yeah, here's what Craig Levine made of it all.
I thought it was a foul for us. I thought that Jack had been tripped by Dessers, and that's why Jack was on the ground. And that's why Dessers still had the ball. So I thought, well, there's no danger here. They're going to rule this out because Jack's been fouled. That was what I thought. Well, everybody stopped because of one or two things. Either they've stopped because they heard the whistle, or they've seen the referee giving us a free kick. So, and then of course what makes it worse, because the players are then really frustrated and say stuff to the referee, they end up getting booked.
I'd looked at it, he's wrong. Well, first of all, he's wrong there because it wasn't a foul. You know, it was a foul on Dessers, it wasn't a foul.
Yeah, but if I could dissect, if I could dissect what he's saying is, first of all, if there's no whistle, once we get that cleared up, they're adamant, the SFA are adamant in their statement released that there was no whistle. They say the whistle was blown after the goal is scored. The other aspect of it is, did the referee make a move to point that it was going to be a foul? Did he make that move?
I thought he did.
Right, so there's one aspect of it, Ruffy. Right. Secondary to that, the attitude of everyone should be, you play to the whistle. You play to the whistle. And then at that point, we're all dissecting, is it a foul? Everybody's got their opinion on that. And then eventually, Dessers, rightly so, continues and thinks, well, I'll put the ball in the back of the net and let that passage of play take its course, and then you make your call.
Yep, you're totally right, Peter.
There's too many things in there to dissect. Now, even after the fact, Craig Levine might get Willie Collum saying, by the way, there's the audio, I've heard it, there's no whistle, but we have seen him gesticulate and we think our players stop. Doesn't matter. The whole thing has been, the referee has been prompted then to go through VAR, and he's changed his mind. So that whole process has got too many fault lines for me.
Yeah, it has, Peter, and fair play to Dessers for just playing on and putting it in the net. I think the strikers always do that. Even if you think you're offside, just put the ball in the net anyway, and you never know. Defenders don't. They want a foul. They're looking for a foul. They're looking for a whistle to try and stop the play. So fair play to Dessers. I think it's a rumble on and on. But I don't think there was any doubt that Rangers deserved to win the game. I mean, I'm not taking away anything for the decision, but Rangers totally dominated the game and should have had it won by half time. You know, they missed umpteen chances to go and win the game comfortably. But you know, St Johnstone will point to that as a big call in the game. But for me, the best team went through.
Now, the other thing about this, it was a nice little finish from McCausland just to end it and send Rangers through comfortably in the end. So they deserved their win. That other part of it, whether we get a definitive out of it that pleases St Johnstone, is neither here nor there because they're out of the cup.
Yeah, they're out. You know, I mean, Sam's right. You know, that Rangers dominated the game. I thought St Johnstone had a wee chance in the last minute. You know, at the back post where the boy could have made it a wee bit more anxious, maybe into extra time. But they got the goal, obviously, at the right time, 8 minutes into the end of the game. So, on a whole, yes, they deserve to win. You can see where St Johnstone's coming from, but it's not going to change anything. They're gone.
Yeah, the big area here which will change is quite simply that Willie Collum will have to assess the overall performance of Matthew McDermott based on those fault lines that we're talking about, whether the process was followed properly, whether he did gesticulate to the players and they picked it up you should still play to the whistle in my view, but all of these things, and again, St Johnstone will have to hear that there was no whistle.
Yeah, I think they'll be nursing a sense of grievance. I think today they'll be sore. I think I would agree on the whole. I think it's inarguable that Rangers were the better team across the entirety of the 90 minutes, but I think that moment will leave them feeling frustrated, just the manner in which it came about. Certainly, I was at the game. I did think he gesticulated. I did think he had blown.
He made a
can't
sign.
hear of it.
He made
I
a
definitely
sign, but
think
I
he
don't.
stopped.
He made a sign with his hand. I don't know whether he's
It'll be dissected.
pointing to that or pointing to the goal or whatever. So
The ultimate out will be play to the whistle.
Yeah, absolutely. Listen, lots of people talking about it. Rangers got the 2-0 win in the end. There's a fair bit of fallout, and I'll come to you in a minute, Tam, on this, but there's a fair bit of fallout, Ruffy, on the size of the crowd. Now, people can, in memes and you know what fans are like, they like a noise up with each other. Quite simply, I think there is, I'm just going to offer this to you, you can agree or disagree. I think there's an apathy among Rangers fans, disappointment at what's been happening with the way the Ibrox Copeland Road end is being fixed. I think there is an overall feeling that they don't like Hampden. And let's put it in perspective as well. A lot of people are skint, and a lot of these things are not on the season ticket. So they're looking and they're saying to them, what do you think, Ali, 20,000 there?
I would have guessed there or thereabouts, around 20,000. There wasn't an official attendance given on Saturday, but I think it was probably less than half full. I would have estimated around 20,000. I have to say, it's hard. We're in the main stand, so you're not seeing the view that you're in, but my guess would be around 20,000.
Yeah, and Paul has said, what about the celebrations from the Rangers players and management after the game? He thinks it was a joke. A lot of people were, I know somebody said here 50,000 at Celtic Park, skint. The demand at Celtic Park is quite simply because they're winning league titles. There's a waiting list at Celtic Park, which is, there's so many people that know they're never going to get a season ticket. They've been waiting on it for 5 or 6 years, so the demand there is incredible. Equally so, the demand after Steven Gerrard won the league from Rangers fans was incredible. And as you know, in Glasgow, Tam, second is nowhere. It was a strange thing. This is what Philippe Clement said about the celebration after the game.
It's something was planned because that group of supporters was there Tuesday also, and they stayed after the game also to stay positive, to support the players, to support the club. So I think it's a normal thing from our side to show that respect towards them also.
Tam?
Yeah, listen, I can get both arguments, Peter. I think that he's trying to create some sort of siege mentality with the squad. He's trying to, everyone's against us. We need to prove people wrong. We're not as bad as people are making out. Let's go and thank the fans. Let's try and bring everyone together. A lot happening off the pitch at Rangers that the supporters are not happy with. Let's make sure we do the job on the pitch, keep the fans behind us. The guys that are coming and paying their money, we go and give them a clap at the end of the game. I get all that, Peter, but at St Johnstone in the second round of the League Cups, Glasgow Rangers Football Club, for me, you go and say thanks and then you get off. It's just like it's a game you should be winning anyway, and you get up the tunnel. So for me, I didn't agree with it, but I can understand Rangers supporters think, well, he's trying to create a bond between the fans and the players. So I get that side of it as well, Peter. But my opinion, I thought it was a bit cringe. That's just my opinion.
What did you make of it, Ali? You were there.
I would probably concur. I think it was manufactured. I think it's an attempt to show unity, to bring people together. I think you get moments like that when clubs are disaffected, when there's been a break between the club support and the team. I think it was just deliberate to try and engineer this show of solidarity, but I thought it felt a bit over the top. It felt quite twee, given the fact that the stadium was half empty and you're going over to a small section of support. I think this is it's a competition that Rangers won last season. It's a competition they should be expected to go deep into. That's the first round that they've participated in. I thought it felt engineered and over the top.
Does it matter, Ruffy? Or is it just a case of... there were some Rangers fans and some Rangers pundits and former players who were looking at that and thinking, really, you know.
No, I think Alison hit it in the head. It's a bit of unity, you know. Tam says all the things that are going on behind the scenes. And I think the manager knows that they're one massive, big, bad result away from the whole thing exploding. So you have to try and keep everybody on board. Some of the supporters aren't happy with the board. They're not happy with the stand. They're not happy with Hampden. So when something like that happens, you've got to do something to show. I didn't think it was embarrassing. If I was a player then, I'd have felt awkward. I'd have felt a bit awkward jumping over a thing with a small group of players, you know. But
Group of fans.
But they've got to do it. They've got to do it because there's so much happening away from what's happening on the park that you've got to do something to make the supporters believe that, okay, just hang on in there, we'll get it right. And doing something like that, he thinks is going to solve that. But it's on the park, it's results. And as Tam said, beating St Johnstone isn't a great result. If they were to beat Celtic in the next game, they can all jump out of the hordes and go to the supporters and be quite rightly so.
It's interesting, isn't it? I think when Celtic were experiencing similar turmoil, they came up with the huddle. The players came up with the idea of the huddle. I think Andy Walker had said at one point one of the ideas he had was them all walking out hand in hand as a show of unity, and then that was kiboshed when Tony Mowbray came up with the idea of the huddle. But it came around in similar circumstances. It came around as a show of solidarity, of unity, of let's be one and in it together. And obviously that has prevailed now till modern day. It's very much a part of the fabric of the club. So you can see why, you can see the thinking behind it, and you can see why you get to that point. It's just whether or not the optics around it were suitable for what it was you're trying to create.
Yeah, absolutely. Ruffy, none of that for you, son. You know, if it was I mean, after the game against Brazil, it was just get Zico's top and get off the park as quick as you can.
Well, that's another thing. That's another thing that I don't understand. I understand with the modern day when they go into Europe or something and they get beat 3 or 4-0 and they walk around the park clapping.
Yeah.
I just don't get that. I really don't. You know, I mean, you've just been handsomely beaten, knocked out a cup. Why are you going around clapping the supporters because I've made the effort to go there, but I would be down the tunnel. You know, it's damned if you do, damned if you don't. But Peter, if you don't do that, the supporters will go, we paid our money to come up here and they've not even acknowledged us. And if you do it,
well,
it's slagged. That's both sides of it.
I have to say, you know, that point alone, I mean, last season there was a game, last season I think, you know, there was a big game, Rangers Celtic, and the Rangers players went up to some of the Rangers fans, and all you could see in memes for about 4 days was Rangers fans going, "No, you," do you know what I mean? And you're thinking to yourself,
draw. Was that in the aftermath of the 3 each?
it could have been. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I'm with you, Ruffy. Just, you know, you've won the game, great. And then, you know, but
I do wonder how much of it's a modern thing.
It is a modern thing, Ali.
With social media and TikTok and Instagram and Twitter, and everyone's on these platforms continuously, and your life is almost broken down into these like 10-second clips that you're posting an idea of something that's maybe not reflected in reality. But I don't know if it's just about for a certain generation.
It is.
You celebrate your dinner on the table.
I can just imagine, Ali, your family at the stage they're at now going, "Oh, well done, Ali. What about this tatties and mince for a third night in a row? Brilliant. Well done, Ali." Because I know you can tell you right now, my daughter certainly wouldn't be applauding any dinner at the table. It's just get it done.
You don't mind if they put in a right good effort and you've been beat with the odd goal. You know, and the players can see that you put. But I mean, I would go back to the Scotland-Germany game. Did the Scottish supporters go over to the supporters after that game in the Euros there?
Yeah, I think
can't remember.
I think they probably did.
Did they? I mean,
listen, you're right, Ali. You've nailed it. It's a modern day thing. And to be perfectly honest with you, realistically, I think you hit the nail on the head, Tam. Rangers deserve to win. That part, I can understand where Craig Levein is, you know, absolutely furious with the whole thing. I mean, he used some classic Craig Levein industrial language before the real presser started and the questions were asked. But I can understand why he's peeved with it. At the end of the day, success, supply and demand, when you're successful, when you win things, the demand is there from supporters. Right now, there's been a lot of negativity around certain parts of Rangers. A lot of people are thinking, I'm not going to Hampden, you know, end of story. And there's a lot of people getting, wrapped up in whether they're all on a line celebrating St Johnstone. If it was me, as a supporter, I'd be more wrapped up with who's playing well, who looks the real deal, who's just not cutting it. Are we going to get signings in? For me, the only one that every time I see him since he joined Rangers, now I wondered whether he was going to be a good signing. Certainly not as instrumental as I think he is. I like him as Barron. I like Connor Barron because he's picking the ball up, he's driving forward, he's a midfielder. Yeah, he's a midfielder that plays forward passes, Tom.
Yeah, and it just shows you that there is players out there at other Scottish clubs. And Rangers have neglected that for a long time, in my opinion. They used to do it a lot. They'd go and sign the best players for Dundee United, Hibs, Hearts, whatever. And they don't seem to be doing that now. And out of all the signings, they got him for nothing, free. I don't know if there's a tribunal or whatever it was, but they got him for next to nothing, and he's been their best signing. And the money they've spent over the last 2 seasons, your Danielos, your Dessers, the Lammers, guys like that, and a guy comes in for another Scottish club and he's been really, really good, and the Rangers supporters have taken to him straight away because he's hungry. He looks as if he's wanting to get on the ball and create and make things happen, and I think he's been a really, really good signing for Rangers.
Yeah, absolutely, 100%. Okay, that's Rangers. And their win, it was top of the bill because there was a fair bit of, anger and certainly talking points in that match that we discussed. Elsewhere, Falkirk 2, Hearts 0. I was there, Ruffy. I thoroughly enjoyed the game. Hearts should have been out of sight within 20 minutes.
Yeah, first 15 minutes hit the bar, a couple of good saves. I just thought Stevie's team selection was a wee bit naive. Going to a place like Falkirk, who were on a bad run, leaving Shankland on the bench, changing and giving a couple of new guys a game who weren't really up to speed. But in saying that, he obviously thought they were good enough to go along there. But all credit to Falkirk. They weathered the storm, got the goal at the right time, and thoroughly deserved the win.
Yeah, absolutely. And John McGlynn, you just at the end of the game, you just couldn't hide his delight at the way his team had gone about their business.
Boys were magnificent. Can't praise the players enough. They've just turned out performance after performance after performance. So absolutely delighted with them. They've got to take all the praise. They're out there doing the business. Hearts, early doors, probably had 2 or 3 good opportunities at the bar with 1 goal. He's made a couple of saves with his leg. Nicky did really, really well. Delighted with our defenders to get a clean sheet against a team like Hearts, who got a lot of attacking options. Whole defence did really well. I thought Brad and Dylan were excellent in midfield. Dylan gets up to get the second goal after Alfie's put some pressure on the goalkeeper. I'm absolutely delighted to be in the draw.
Yeah, and at the end of it all, Ali, I thought they deserved it.
Yeah, I thought so too. I've only seen highlights of it, but I thought so too. I thought Craig Gordon had a couple of really good saves. Too, I think judging from what I did see back, I think if Hearts had taken the chances they had in the opening minutes, I think they would have gone on and won the game comfortably. As it is, you're always at risk if you don't take the chances. And against a team like Falkirk, confidence is high, there's a belief about them. It's a game where essentially you've got nothing to lose. You can go and have a go. I thought they were worthy of their place and worthy of the win. And it invites a bit of pressure now on Stephen Naismith. It's not been the best of starts for Hearts. I think it just puts him under a wee bit of pressure when it's seen in the context of the opening couple of weeks of the season. Yeah,
and let's take nothing away, because sometimes you do get a situation where you start to look and think, okay, everything's going to be about Hearts and how they didn't play. But once that 20 minutes had passed, Tom, I'm watching this side, and slowly but surely they started to move the ball about. There was a confidence about them. And of course, Ross McIver could have had 2 goals in the bag, but for Craig Gordon made 2 great saves.
Yeah, Craig was outstanding on the day. I think, as the guy said, first 20 minutes, if Hearts go 1-0, it's a different game. But I thought Stephen making 8 changes, not for me. I think Hearts can win 2 things this season: League Cup, Scottish Cup. I think you play your strongest team. You don't chop and change, and I think if you had that back, looking at the result, I think you would play a stronger team.
Well, on that point, when he went to when he put up the board and was taking off Jan Danda, they booed. This was his reaction to that.
Fans are going to be disappointed, winning a cup tie and a cup tie that you're favourites to go through in. So they're going to be. I didn't think as the game went on we then started making wrong decisions, too many balls into the goalie's hands, giving up too many fouls, which then kills the momentum and ultimately that second goal.
Yeah, they were booing. If I could offer a defence of Stephen Naismith, is some Hearts fans who clearly are not Stephen Naismith fans boo him. Everybody's entitled to their opinion. You know, I've seen some people, you know, with ludicrous statements saying get him out. This is a guy who, you know, got this team to third in the table, slowly but surely building a team, and we are, as a nation, now getting to the point where people are saying after 3 and 4 and 5 games, is a manager under pressure? It is absolutely ridiculous. I mean, I am of the opinion that Anne Budge and the rest of that board, you know, are a sensible lot. Just let the manager get on with his job.
Yeah, but I don't think he's under any pressure. You know, I know he's got a big European game coming up this week. I think in hindsight he'll probably look and say, as Tam said, I should have made 8 changes. This is a tough place to go. He's threw guys in there who haven't been in this kind of cup experience. All of a sudden they're 1-0 down, and you're looking for possibly some experienced players to react to that. I think the new guys who come in get shocked that they were behind and just couldn't dig themselves out of it. So I think in hindsight, I think the only thing you could maybe have a wee go at was his team selection.
Yeah, absolutely. You live or die. In some games, they'll probably look at it, maybe assess it, maybe think not the right thing to do. In the end, when they were trying to chase the game, they just didn't look as if they were going to get that goal back. And then Falkirk just raced up the park with about 9 minutes to go. The icing on the cake with Dylan Tate. So great for Falkirk to get into the next round. We'll talk about that quarter-final draw shortly. Your Hibbies, again, off the back of last week's defeat in the league, suddenly in the League Cup. Celtic again, just early on, dismantling Hibs.
Yeah, it was similar to Easter Road. You know, you've got to keep it tight against Celtic. You've got to keep it tight for 20-25 minutes and then try and grow into the game. Lose an early goal again, and you're thinking this could be a down 2-0. You know, they get the goal back with Kukarevich, great header, and then you know I thought they played okay in spells. Once the third goal goes in from Kuhn, which is a nightmare for Hibs at the back, the big centre half Marvin and the goalkeeper, I thought should just put his foot through it. His left foot, he tried to open his body to go out the other side. It was a dreadful goal to lose when Hibs were still in the game at 2-1. That was the game finished. But I saw little bits of, you know, shoots of recovery from Hibs. I thought they played well in spells. Celtic back-to-backs as a nightmare start for any team out with the Old Firm. They've got Dundee on Saturday, they've got Kilmarnock, and then they've got St Johnstone. So 2 of those games at home. Kilmarnock straight off the back of playing Copenhagen at home. So they've got 3 games where they should be taking, in my opinion, 7-9 points. If they do that, you know, they're back in the pack. If they don't, then David will be under increasing pressure. Not from me, but from the supporters, Peter. You spoke about Hearts. There's Hibs fans who didn't fancy David Gray, and they're thinking, well, I'm right. I was right. We've had a poor start to the season. Hearts are the same. Stephen Naismith, a lot of people not Stephen Naismith fans jumping on him right now because they're in a bad run.
I think you can look at it logically. I think you can look at it logically and say from our perspective it's preposterous to be under pressure so early. But the reality is, it's supporters that apply that pressure. It's the noise that builds up around managers and around clubs.
I think the other thing about it, Ruffy, is it's weak-minded board members who listen to supporters. You have to stick by. I mean, can you imagine, Ruffy, when we got together all those years ago, I'd said to you, Ruffy, you've got 7 weeks to make a valid point. Yeah. I mean, I stuck with you. Well, year 9.
Took me, I think it was 8 weeks before I had an opinion.
8 seasons, 8 weeks.
I mean, Stephen Naismith isn't under any pressure. He was third best team in Scotland and playing the most attractive football. Okay, he's had a bad start. I just unfortunately at Hibs think with this owner for Bournemouth hanging about, you know, I don't think he's going to suffer. You know, you're saying 7 out of 9. Say it's only 2 out of 9. You know, this guy will have something to say about it. I'm not saying he'll sack him. But he'll certainly have something to say about it.
Well, I'd like to see a number of board members Hibs have backed David Gray. Mm-hmm. You know, they've brought players in. I still think they need time to gel. George Robertson's having none of it. Tam McManus, open your eyes. David Gray will get 1 month if you're lucky. P.S. Are Hibs still paying you? George has been angry since the programme opened.
It's all capitals as well.
I know, but he's put it on.
Somebody's raging, it's all capitals.
It's all capitals. If George had put 5 exclamation marks in there, you were in trouble. But nevertheless, I would say, yes, they've backed him. Surely to God, you've got to let teams gel and got to start to.
He signed about 9 or 10 players as well. You know, I don't think he's under any pressure, but I know what Hibs supporters are like. I know what Hearts supporters are like. You know, you go 3 or 4 games without a win. It's just, you look on social media, get them out. It's mental. As I said, they've got a run of games now before they play Rangers at Hampden. You know, they've got Dundee at home on Saturday, which is a big game for both clubs. Dundee have started really, really well, and if Hibs want to get in the top 6 this season, I think they'll have to finish above Dundee, because I think Dundee will be thereabouts as well. So, and then they've got Kilmarnock on the following Sunday after playing in Europe, and then St Johnstone at home. So they've got 3
good 9 points to still.
By the way, remember this as well, and I'm going to point this out to you, Ali, because we are guilty of it. We'll take it on the chin. I mean, Yo-Yo Heat here was writing a column and coming on this programme last year. Sack the manager, back the manager, sack him.
No,
he couldn't.
I'm nowhere near the sack at the minute.
No, I mean,
Give him a couple of weeks.
Not.
Give him a couple of weeks.
Yeah, the other aspect of it, which I'm looking at, is, Ali, Celtic. This is the strangest thing ever. Celtic domestically just look like a well-oiled machine that I cannot see anybody laying a glove on them, but. We're on the 19th of August, Ali, and we're getting mightily close to a lot of Celtic fans losing their head.
Yeah, it's been the story of the summer that Celtic haven't yet recruited heavily. Obviously, they've brought a couple in. Ida over the line last week. I think there'll probably be a couple more before the end of the window. I think you could look at Celtic just now and say, even if Matt O'Reilly goes next week or before the window shuts, I think Celtic just look head and shoulders above anything else in the league. They look as though they've picked up domestically where they left off at the end of last season. I think there's no one that you would look at, I think, that will lay a glove on them. I think domestically they have enough to go and win the title without barely breaking sweat. There's a big question mark over what that means when it comes to Champions League when they kick off this new format, guaranteed 8 games in the tournament that will take them to the end of January. It will be interesting to see if there are players who come in who add a bit of quality to what's already there, players that might elevate performances in a Champions League level. But as we have spoken of repeatedly, how difficult that is to do.
Well, of course, you and I, disagree vehemently on this. So there's no
many things.
There's no absolutely. So there's no point in me wasting 10 minutes of the programme on something that I think we're going to deal with the manager's words on it, Ruffy. He's got a dilemma on Kyogo, because Kyogo, if he takes the operation on his shoulder, will be out for 4 months, and that's a dilemma. This is what Brendan Rodgers had to say. This is what he had to say about Kyogo after the game. Surgery takes him out for probably about 4 months. It's only he who can decide that, because a lot of time he gets through the games fine. He's a 29-year-old man now, and he understands what he wants to do. He has managed it for a long time. So losing him for 4 months would be a huge blow with Champions League group stage coming up, Ruffy. That's a big dilemma. I don't think Kyogo wants to make that call.
I don't think he is, but the most obvious is questions. Why didn't you shove him in when the season finished?
I don't think
if he's got a shoulder injury, and as soon as that last game of the season, you put him in for surgery.
I don't think he wants the operation. I think that's the problem.
I mean, I've never had a shoulder injury. I don't know how sore it is when you get it pushed back in. I don't know how often it's liable to pop out and what kind of danger you're under. It's not like ligaments or cartilage or anything like that. So you're right, at the age he is, maybe he says, I can put up with it,
Well, he had it even when he was playing in Japan. I think it's a very personal decision that he's opted not to have the surgery. I think Celtic would have been delighted to have it addressed prior to now, to have it properly dealt with. It's obviously been a long-standing issue that he's managed for the entirety of the time that he's been in Glasgow, but I think he himself doesn't want the operation.
I wonder how sore it is, Tam. The only person I can ever remember with a bad shoulder injury was Officer Riggs in Lethal Weapon 2 when he used to scalp it back in. But other than that, I mean, if it's no problem to him, then get on with it. The biggest problem I think everybody is looking at here, and Brendan Rodgers is saying, there's a lot that they need to do. I am convinced, nobody will tell me otherwise unless suddenly the window shuts. Matt O'Reilly will be sold shortly. Brighton are in talks. They've made a formal bid, so they want him. Atalanta have apparently pulled out now, so Brighton are in there. Celtic will sell Matt O'Reilly. Brendan Rodgers says there's a lot of work they need to do. He would like 2 new midfielders if Matt O'Reilly is sold. We've already talked about, Celtic, I think, are a striker short. And are they a left back and a centre half short? Brendan Rodgers, after the game says, I'll need to speak to the board. There's a lot of work going on and there's lots that we need to do. But for now, it's about the players that are here.
I mean, he keeps putting messages out every week, Peter. He needs players. He needs quality players. They're going to go into, September into that Champions League, and they need a squad. To go and play on both fronts. So he keeps putting the message out. I'm sure there's hard work going on behind the scenes in terms of getting players in. I agree with you. I think Matt O'Reilly will go. I think with Brighton coming in now, a club like that with a lot of money, I think they will probably sign him if they come up with the money. I think he would go to Brighton. I think he'll go to the Premier League, and then you're needing 2 in, and then you're needing a striker. I think you're needing a centre half, a left back, and there's no signing anybody at the minute, Peter. So Brendan's probably getting more tetchier the closer we're getting to this window because he knows he needs players in.
Listen, the only other thing I would say on the matter right now, and I'm going to hold off, and I'll weigh up. And quite happy to let Ali have a say on the whole situation with transfer windows and European Championships and the difficulties of signing a player, Ruffy, and all of that claptrap. Because quite simply, that's the same squad that wasn't good enough in last season's Champions League. And right now, listen, you talk about people being skint, talk about people who are shelling out lots of money to see Celtic domestically untouchable. European-wise, not so.
No, I think if O'Reilly goes and there is no evidence of the players that you are talking coming in, I think Brendan Rodgers knows that although they are playing particularly well and they're winning games, he's near enough going to suffer the wrath if O'Reilly goes and Rangers get a draw. All hell will break loose if no players come in. So he'll know what's round the corner if nothing happens. So he has to put pressure on that board. We don't know what's going on behind the scenes. They might be negotiating with 3 or 4 players as we speak. But if none of them materialise, I don't think the supporters will accept it.
Yeah.
I really don't.
Big pressure on you, Ruffy. September 1st on the show, you're going to have to be opinionated. I can't be the only one getting barred. You've got to go too, and Ali.
No chance of Ruffy doing that.
No.
Too nice.
Too nice. Okay. Listen, you can give us your view. What do you make of it all? I mean, as a footballing side against Hibs, Tam, they really are like a well-oiled machine. They just look. I can't see anybody touching them domestically.
No, they're quality, Peter. I think you've seen in flashes, and they've got competition. The wide areas now, Maida's back as well. Kuhn looks transformed from last season. Pre-season under his belt. I don't think he wasn't fit last season. He looked miles off it last season. He's come in and he's had a great start to the season. He started really well in pre-season. Into the league, looks good. James Forrest there as well. Ida coming in to put pressure on Kyogo. So there's competition in that front area, and I agree. I mean, I don't see anyone stopping Celtic from possibly doing another treble.
Yeah, Ruffy?
Middle to front, bang on. Defensively, Hibs still had wee sneaky. When they came up against a really good side, they put them under pressure. That's when, unfortunately, the trouble starts, because you're not going to be scoring goals all the time. You've got to defend properly against proper big sides.
Absolutely. Just one little footnote, Ruffy. Kuhn scored a goal. Obviously, the Hibs goalkeeper made a complete back end of
Fall
it.
for 2 goals, wasn't he?
Yeah, Craig Gordon did the same against Falkirk. But I mean, can a goalkeeper not use their head now and say, listen, I know you want us to play this out at the back all the time. How about I just launch it and stop us losing a goal?
Yeah, I mean, it's drummed into them now. They want to keep possession of the ball. If you watch them before the game, the goalkeepers were getting warmed up. They warm up with their feet. They're not warming up with their hands. They're practicing their touch and watch it with the next people when they're warming up. They're passing to each other and all that. I think you have to give credit to the two forwards for chasing them down.
Yeah.
You know, because obviously Connor ran into the boy, didn't he do? And as Tam said, he tried to get it on his left foot, but his forwards are too sharp for some of the goalkeepers.
Yeah, couldn't run into him as well. Let's first thing comes into his head, Ali, just if it's near it, and a big hi to Alfredo Morales. That's another one.
God, he's away.
Anyway, more to come from us after the headlines.
Welcome to your daily news update, brought to you by Arnold Clark. I'm Patrick, and here's your top stories on the 19th of August. St Mirren are out of the Premier Sports Cup after a narrow 1-0 defeat at the hands of Dundee United. Speaking after the game, Stephen Robertson says his key players from last season have to step up.
But some boys that had, so to speak, chips in the bank from last season need to step up. We need performances to improve.
And Motherwell also booked their place into the last 8 with an extra time victory over Kilmarnock. In attendance at Fir Park was free agent Ryan Jack, but Stuart Kettlewell has pushed down any speculation joining him at the club.
No, I think Ryan's just maybe taking in a game. I'm not too sure about that.
The Premier Sports Cup quarter-final draw took place last night, which has drawn Celtic against Falkirk. Dundee, they'll travel to Hampden to take on Rangers. Aberdeen will host Spartans, and Motherwell will face off against Dundee United. Those fixtures will take place across the weekend of September 21st and 22nd. That's all of your headlines, brought to you by Arnold Clark.
Yeah, thanks to Patrick Mullen. If I was Ryan Jack, I'd get a ticket for Real Madrid and go and watch them as well, and just send the whole thing into another stratosphere, because he can't move without being linked with a team.
I think he's maybe just happy to go out the house and watch a game of football. He's maybe demented in the house. But no, listen, I think he's just going to watch games. I think that there's no doubt for me Ryan Jack's good enough to go and play for any of these clubs that he's Motherwell. I think he'd be looking for maybe a bigger club than them, no disrespect, and possibly going abroad. I think he's just going along to games to watch.
Here's an interesting point that was made by Derek McInnes. Motherwell 1, Kilmarnock 0. Ebbe Moses scoring the goal for Motherwell. And the Killie boss reckons that, you know, with their European campaign, when they come back domestically, a lot of managers and teams will fancy taking something off them.
Tiredness, so it's a good time to play us. I see St Mirren out of the cup as well. You know, we're having to deal with a schedule at the minute that we're not used to as players and as a club. And we're not complaining about it because we'd rather have the schedule, but it does make us a bit more vulnerable. And Sunday to Thursday is a bit easier, clearly, because you've got those extra days. But Thursday to Sunday after travelling 2 away games back to back, it's always a wee bit more of a stretch.
Yes, I mean, it's a predominant feature, Ruffy, that clubs, especially on the evidence of what we've witnessed over the last 15 to 20 years, Thursday to Sunday is proving to be difficult.
I think it's difficult for the likes of St Mirren and Kilmarnock because they don't have the same pool of players. They don't have like 30 players to call on, no first team players, whereas possibly you should think the Rangers and Celtic, when they're playing in Europe, should have enough pool players to take over. So I think that's where they're struggling. You know, I mean, I can't give any experience of playing in Europe and travelling home on the Thursday and playing on the Sunday. As a goalkeeper, it wouldn't have bothered me. Maybe Tam, being an outfield player, would know the travelling kind of thing. But I mean, any time I travelled abroad and came back and played on the Saturday, I never had any problem with that.
Yeah, Tam?
No, it's difficult. I've done it a few times, Peter, different clubs, Hibs and Dunfermline, and I'm playing in Ireland. You know, I think it's difficult. I think it's a lot to do with the travelling. I think away from home, at home you're fine, you can get back to your own bed. I don't think it's a big issue. Away from home, you're travelling, you're Norway or wherever you are. You get in the flight after the game, you're maybe no training the next day, then you're back in for a light session. And there's not a lot of training going on, Peter. It's just rest and recovery. And Derek's right, it is a good time to play Kilmarnock. It is a good time to play St Mirren as both those results bear out. You know, there's probably a few tired legs in there. They've maybe got 12, 13 guys they can really rely on. And the rest, he's maybe not sure about putting in, but he has to. So, listen, Kilmarnock are one tie away for mega money, £5-6 million. They're playing Copenhagen, they're massive underdogs, but you never know, you know. But I think once Kilmarnock and Motherwell, hopefully Kilmarnock get through, but once they get out, I think Kilmarnock and St Mirren, I think you'll start to see them come up the table, Peter, because I think it's difficult at the minute for both clubs.
I will be cheering Ruffy. In fact, I'm almost certain. Let's have a wee bit of a. If Kilmarnock get into the Europa League, I'm wearing
£5-6 million, massive.
I'm wearing a Kilmarnock top on the programme. I mean, you've got to. Yeah. I mean, it would be magnificent. Not that it's any slight. Not that it's any slight on anybody.
Would that be the same if Rangers get into the Europa?
Alison said she'd be a Rangers fit.
No, I wasn't volunteering anything.
They're in it, Ruffy. Yeah. So that's gone. They're in it. That was lucky.
Talked yourself into a mess.
I know. I don't know why I did that. I was just trying to show a bit of solidarity for Derek McInnes because I want them to get in.
Yeah.
Well, by the way, realistically, that sort of money is changing. That's how I wanted Hearts to get in, and they lost to Zurich. The money would have been phenomenal.
Yeah, and I think that's what you need. You know, you bring those kind of resources in, and all of a sudden, it just gives you a platform to go and build on to attract better players. That kind of money can be transformative for clubs. I have to say, I think Copenhagen will be a really tough ask. I think realistically, when you look at it, I think it's probably a step beyond them.
Is like that journalist speak they're going out?
I hope I'm wrong, but I think so.
If they can stay in the tie, Alison, away from home, they can get them back to Kilmarnock. If they even get a draw or a narrow defeat over there, they can come back.
Copenhagen are also a really seasoned European team too. You look at the recent seasons that they've been in, I think well into their season too, like up and running. I think it's a very, very difficult ask to see Kilmarnock coming through. I hope I'm wrong. I'd love to see them go on and progress too. But I just don't know that realistically you would give them a fighting chance.
Yeah, and on the evidence of it, all that feel-good factor that was around St Mirren, it hasn't completely and utterly disappeared, but certainly brought back down to earth with a bump with the Dundee United win again.
Yeah, I think the fans have enjoyed so much what's been happening in Europe. I don't think it will hinder not the manager or the players. I think they'll just get back into League Cup mode. They've been very, very good there. Good. The stadium's been full at home, so no, I think he'll be a wee bit more relaxed. He'll be disappointed because this cup always opens up an avenue for one of the smaller clubs to get quite far in it, and if you go quite far in it, you can raise a lot of money.
Yeah, absolutely. Spartans, I did mention to you, Tam, I just had a wee feeling that at that ground they could do something a wee bit special.
That's an incredible result for them. The League 2 club beating a Premiership team in the Cup, it's a huge result. Dougie Samuel's been there for years. You know, he's really been there, a pillar of the community as well. They're a community club, Spartans, and delighted for them to get through. You know, they've obviously got a tough tie in the next round, but just getting through and beating Ross County is great for them. Great header for Blair Henderson, and they've seen the game out. So, you know, a real shock for a club like that, but fantastic for everyone at Spartans.
Yeah, Aberdeen left it late. Topi Keskinen with the goal, and Jimmy Tilleen well happy with his goal scorer's contribution.
No, I don't think about the transfer fee. I think about the player. So no, but it's always nice when a new player arrives and they can make some impact. But it's the first game, and you should not put any pressure on him. Like he has step by step. I'm really happy for him. Like he can a winning goal also for get us through to the next round, and that was good.
Yeah, it's such a good feel-good factor around Aberdeen. It's been transformed, hasn't it? I mean, they'll be buying merchandise non-stop. He's pulling in players, and suddenly, if they all come in and make contributions like that, you know, Aberdeen will not be bottom six like they were last season.
I think you just can feel the sense of expectancy around the club. I think it's been a really good sequence of results to open his campaign this season and to open just his chapter at Aberdeen. But you can sense the optimism. You can sense the belief amongst the Aberdeen fans who are buying into what he wants to do, and the players. You can see that the players are also buying into what he wants to do.
I'll tell you where else they're buying into what a manager's doing. Tony Docherty at Dundee, they thumped Airdrie.
Yeah, they've carried on for last year. You know, they made a couple of good signings, obviously. Simon Murray I don't think he's taken as many loan players on board this year as what he did last year. So I think he stated that. That's the way ahead last year was to bring in loan players, but this year he wants to bring in people who are going to be there for 2 or 3 years. But again, we're hanging on there. Is there any truth? Or maybe in the wee midfield boy, I got his name wrong the last time.
Luke McCowan, yeah.
I think there's a couple of teams sniffing about him. Is the money at the right time? Does the player want to move? It'd be interesting to see if somebody just throws something in there.
£1 million will be away.
Yeah, I think he'd be.
£1 million will be away.
Do you think he's a Celtic player? Because that was a wee sniff.
I'm really impressed. I think he's great. I just don't know if he's the kind of player that can move on to another level. There's a lot of players who've came from Aberdeen, Dundee, Hibs and that, went into Rangers and Celtic, and it's not happening. Particularly at Celtic, I would wonder where he would step in there. He's another Matt O'Reilly. I don't think he's playing at that level against any kind of players, but he's certainly been, in the Scottish League, he's been one of the players that's impressed me more over the last 2 years.
Yeah, okay. It'll be interesting to see. We're on the 19th of August, players coming in and out. You can give us your view on that, but certainly when you look at what Tony Docherty is doing with Dundee, it's absolutely fantastic. The way they've gone about their business, and as you can imagine, the manager's well happy.
And if you told me we would run out 6-1 winners, I'd have bitten the hand off you. But I just think it shows the quality of the team. That says now scored 29 goals in 7 games. So I think if you're a Dundee fan coming to watch that, you're really enjoying watching the team. I'm enjoying watching the team. And even at that, when I see them in the dressing room, they're angry. They're actually angry that they lost a goal there and didn't get a clean sheet.
28 goals in 7 games?
I know, but not only that, but
some record.
You're talking about a partnership that at Aberdeen, Derek McGuinness and Tony Docherty, great. And then suddenly he decides, he wants to go on his own, and really they're getting the best of both worlds. What Derek achieved at Kelly's Magic, but Dundee now have been rewarded with that match against Rangers, and now we're really going to see. We're going to get a wee taster of what they're all about.
Yeah, listen, that'll be a tough tie for Rangers. I think Dundee are playing really, really well at the minute. I think a lot of people were surprised that Tony Docherty got the job. I think he came out of left field. I think there was a lot of names, and the bookies were putting their usual suspects up, and he wasn't one of them. But he's come in, he's done a fantastic job there. They've got goals in the team, and they play Hibs next as well, which is great.
Yeah, absolutely. You need that like a hole in the head. You won't know who to jump up for when the ball hits the back of the net. Rangers, Dundee, Celtic, Falkirk, Aberdeen, Spartans, and Motherwell, Dundee United. If you were picking a game there, Ali.
I think Motherwell, Dundee United will be fairly competitive, and Rangers, Dundee too. I think the fact that I was going to say it's at Ibrox, but it's a home tie, a Hampden tie for Rangers. But I think Dundee will go and try and give a decent account of themselves. Falkirk get their payday trip to Celtic. But yeah, I think Motherwell, Dundee United should be fairly competitive. Tony Watt against his former. Well, I don't know if we're allowed to play.
Yeah, no, he will. As a loan. Yeah, that might be a stipulation. The loan, he can certainly play a League Cup. And when he came on, I think the majority of people were very complimentary about Tony Watt coming back. I mean, I like him as a player, and I like him as a person as well. But much misunderstood, I think. But I think Ruffy players nowadays, they move on, they go for money. Listen,
he's not a troubled soul, no.
Well, I do think, at times you look at him and you think to yourself, he never settles anywhere. But I've got no qualms with people moving on, because Ruffy, you would have moved on 3 or 4 times in your career if you had the opportunity.
Yeah, I don't have a problem what happens to him off the park, as long as when he walks onto the park on a Saturday or whenever and he scores goals. As a supporter, that's a Motherwell supporter, that's what I'd be worried about. I wouldn't be worrying about if he's doesn't settle here, doesn't settle there. As soon as he puts on that Motherwell jersey, walks on the park and he scores goals, that's good enough for me.
Yeah, absolutely. As you know, Ruffy, I always try and read out as many messages as possible, because we always like a bit of banter, a bit of decency, and of course, if we get pelters, we take it in the chin, Tam. To be perfectly honest with you, I'm not sure about this one though. There's Travelling Scotsman says Rangers have booked an open top bus if they beat Dundee in the next round of the cup.
I'm not saying
seriously, Robbie, there's some people who they're taking chances. If Tam put that out on the Twitter, he would never see him for about 3 months.
That'd be the boat with a Clyde.
The
wife is a Rangers fan, she'd do it.
You've come back off the ropes this weekend, haven't you?
Aye, my wife said I have to stop slagging Rangers, so I have to put a sock in it. So I'm sorry.
Well, if there's any chance,
I'm my brother-in-law.
one of the biggest problems that we do have is people who don't have an opinion. If for the next couple of weeks you could send your wife in, at least we might get some decent opinion out of her instead of what you're offering us at the moment. I know you mentioned that at the start of the programme, Ali, you were worried, and I think you're right. Anyway, thanks to so many people who are putting their messages. It's only a game. We love the beautiful game. We love a noise up. But let's see how the quarterfinals go. Where's the shock coming, Ruffy, for you in the quarterfinals of the Premier Sports Cup?
It's not going to be Aberdeen. It's not going to be Celtic. I don't think it'll be Rangers. I think Rangers will be too strong. And the Motherwell Dundee United one can go either way, so that's not really a big shock. So I don't think there'll be a shock.
Yeah, so your four are Celtic, Rangers, Aberdeen and...
Motherwell.
Oh.
Tony Watt treble.
I don't think he'll be allowed to play.
No, I don't think he will.
No chance.
No, there's no chance he'll be allowed to play. There'd be nothing better. Tony Watt would be running about like a madman.
No, there's no chance he's going to play. I'll agree with Ruffy. I think Motherwell home advantage will beat United.
Yeah, interesting. Ali, are you going against the grain?
No.
Same four?
Celtic, Rangers, Aberdeen and Motherwell.
Yep, okay. Give us your thoughts on that. Give us your opinion on it. Couple of things we want to talk about before we say farewell to you. Hopefully you're enjoying the chat, the opinion, the humour, and of course the interaction with you as well. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button on our YouTube channel. We've got lots of things coming up. A few competitions for you to get involved in as well. We'll be giving away some prizes and a chance for you to share our stories and share our content to your friends, and hopefully they'll join the football family here at PLZ Soccer. Certainly if you download the app, you'll get all the breaking news at your fingertips and all that video content as well. Give us your last four in the semi-final stage of the Premier Sports Cup. Do you think it's going to be the four that we've all mentioned? As far as down south is concerned, it was interesting. It all kicked off with a hype on Friday night. I watched the Man United Fulham game, and I missed the goal at the end, Ruffy, because I fell asleep. It was dull.
Yeah, it is. They're going through a transitional period, but the fans will be happy with a win, and hope they can build on that. And it remains to be seen, can they build on it with the likes that's going on at all the other clubs. So take the win and then move on to the next game and just keep behind your team.
Yeah, absolutely. We've got we've got one Man United fan among us in our team, Tam, who certainly thinks they're going in the right direction. I'm not so sure. I can't see United finishing top four.
Nah, not for me. I think you'll have your usual suspects, Man City, Liverpool, Arsenal, and then I think Spurs will be in the top four because Big Ange's a man, the GOAT.
Yes,
I can't wait. I'm looking forward to the game tonight. Spurs have signed Solanke as well, 50 million.
Yeah.
Good signing for Spurs.
For 50 million?
Yep.
Ruffy?
I was disappointed in Chelsea, at the weekend there. Man City just rolled out and did Man City. Haaland ragdoll and a couple of defenders in the box to try to get off the ball. And he showed a wee bit of skill at the end to put the ball in the back of the net. So, I think everybody was hoping Chelsea would be up top four, top five and be back where they were, but on that evidence of the weekend, it didn't look as if they were.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm just looking here, out of all the teams, if I'm thinking, God, I don't want Everton to get relegated, but boy, they were well spanked at the weekend, Alison.
Brighton, yeah. A hard start to the season for them on the back of a fairly tough time. Yeah, I think sometimes it can be hard if you don't get off to a good start. I just wonder sometimes if it sets an early tone for the campaign that you find it hard to get out the bit from. I would say, I think the transfer window has been very slow across the board. There's still a couple of weeks left to go. I think you'll still see a bit of movement coming in between now and the end of the campaign, but I do think if you start off poorly, it can leave a hangover.
Yeah, is it wrong for me to want West Ham to get relegated, Ruffy? Is that petty? I mean, is it petty, I ask you?
Yeah, no word.
Because your mate Moisey?
No word, aye.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. Aston Villa, top four this season again?
Nah, I think they'll be thereabouts in the Champions League bit, which is, I think, with Spurs not being in Europe, I think they'll finish the top 4.
Okay, thank you so much to Alison, Ruffy and Tam. It's always good to get your comments as well. Listen, you don't necessarily need to watch it live, but we'd like to read out a few messages. Monday, Wednesday and Friday. Scott Allen with us on a Wednesday, Ryan McGowan on a Friday, and let's not forget the journos. Is on this week. The Women's Football Show Straight Talk will return. I'll be interviewing lots of interesting people along the way. Must just mention, Tam, I know you were out and about, and you've got lots of fingers and a few pies, with your work in football. And Ruffy was on Macca's show, ghosting away with Frank McAvenny last week. Bit of treachery from Ruffy.
Yeah. I ran it through the management before I did it.
Well done, Ruffy. Well done. We loved Macca. Macca was great, wasn't he? Do you remember the time when we thought Macca was going to die on the show?
Yes, most definitely. I thought he was. He was.
Yeah.
But,
I'll never forget the look in his face, Ruffy, as the painkillers for his sore ankle kicked in. And I looked at Ali and I thought, wow, I wonder how many clicks we'll get if Macca drops dead on the show. But thankfully, your man survived. We love Macca. Anyway, did you enjoy being away in a different style, with your old mucker?
Are you leaving him?
Yeah,
it was different.
It was different.
I'll tell you how different it was after.
Okay. Listen, thanks to Ali as ever, to Ruffy, and thanks to Tam for coming up. I thought you were going to wear your camouflage gear.
I'll try to look.
So nobody could get you. Thanks to Tam as well. Don't forget, hit the subscribe button on PLZ Soccer's YouTube channel, and of course, download the app, because you'll get all that breaking news and all the content at your fingertips. Thank you to so many of you for downloading the podcast as well. Lots of people mentioned to us they're out walking the dog, and then of course just out for a wee jaunt with the earphones in, listening to our podcast as well. We really appreciate your support. So from everybody here, thank you for listening and watching.